My guest today is Andrew Galvin. Andrew is passionate about developing brands that drive a business. He delivers straightforward strategy and creativity, and his expertise spans rebranding following global mergers, working with government and not-for-profit, to assisting SMEs and startups grow into international businesses. Our topic is the importance of focus in building a brand. Hello, Andrew. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
So, Andrew, this whole topic of branding, if we're to build a really effective brand, where do we start? Where should we get going?
Okay, I guess the first mistake most small businesses make is that they don't actually focus on the customer or the prospective customer. They come into it perhaps focusing on how good they are at what they do instead of how
fairly typical.
What the customer wants.
Yeah.
So it's very simple, but it is a mistake people make, is that just focus on the customer. Be sure there's a market for what you're offering, and if there's not a market for what you're offering, then create a new market, which is a different story altogether.
Okay, so initially we should concentrate totally on the customer. It's not about us. It's about the customer.
It's not about you at all.
Okay.
It's about what they think. It's not what about you think.
Okay. All right. Second point.
Second point would be, once you've got this focus in terms of what the customer wants, is that you need to offer something different. Okay. Again, it may seem obvious, but the businesses are very copyable very quickly these days. So basically, you become a commodity. Once you're a commodity, you start competing on price. If you compete on price, you're just going backwards.
You're lost.
So be different. Jack Trout, who's a very well-known strategist from the US, basically says differentiate or die.
Differentiate or die.
Differentiate or die.
All right. And when you're working with the business, how do you help them find that difference?
It gets back to focus.
Okay.
It gets back to actually focusing on what you do at every level. Now, it's very difficult to be different because, as I just said, there are many businesses that are the same. Sometimes it's not what you do, but it's how you actually do it.
Okay.
But you will find a difference if you go through methodically each point of what you actually try and deliver.
So look closely throughout the whole business.
Absolutely,
okay.
From top to bottom and bottom to top.
Okay. All right, your third point.
My third point is that's great. If you get those two things right, fantastic. However, it's got to be compelling. Basically, why are people going to buy your product and service? If it's not compelling, they're not going to buy it. So you have to make sure that what you offer, again, it gets back to focusing on the customer. They actually want it. They actually need it, and therefore it's compelling, and they'll buy it.
Okay. Now you cited, I think you mentioned in earlier discussion, to me an example of an organisation you work with, a training organisation. Do you want to share any?
Yeah, look, again, that's a fairly small business, but essentially, here's a guy been in the business for 12 years. He actually trained the trainers. Found himself,
so a personal training business.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He found himself competing with the guys he used to teach. His problem was he had a list of services the length of my arm.
Right.
No differentiation from anybody else. No expression of his actual unique skills. Okay. Working with pregnant women, working with rehabilitation patients. Okay. So what I asked him to do was actually condense all his services into one or two things that actually were different from everybody else, and focus his business there, and then service those clients instead of trying to basically extend his services.
Because it's a common thing, isn't it, particularly with small business, where you see businesses trying to kind of be all things to all people. This clearly is a mistake when it comes to your kind of work.
It's a common mistake, not only for small business, but for larger organisations, SMEs and corporates. They try and extend their brand beyond what they actually deliver that's different and compelling.
Right.
And the best thing they can actually do is come back to where they started.
Back to the basics.
Refocus, make sure that is still different and compelling, and start pushing that again to market. Extending your brand actually weakens it. It doesn't actually strengthen it.
Okay. Andrew, thank you very much for joining us and spending time with us. Thank you.